Okay, can you hear me now? I just had a whole, let's see, 4 minutes of chatting and no sound. All right, can you hear me now? Let me know. I didn't realize I had the audio turned off. I'm going to start all over again. It happens. Again, I'm Michelle Wedderburn. I live in San Miguel de Allende. This is located in central Mexico. I am the owner of Casa Elm, which is a boutique guest house. Hey, Jetta. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce the first person's name. I'm glad you can hear me now. Okay, great. Sorry about that. I had it turned off because I was doing something and I didn't want that to interfere, and then I forgot to turn it on again. Anyway, I am a guest house owner of Casa Elm. I have been here in San Miguel de Allende for almost 7 years. I can't believe that. Still, it just has gone by so quickly. Like, I feel like I'm closer to being here 10 years than 1 or 5 years. So it's just kind of crazy to me that in, less than 3 years, I would have been here for a whole 10 years. And that I know will go by really quickly. But what we do is we provide soft landing experiences for people who want to come and try on San Miguel or want to move altogether, want to experience Mexico and not necessarily go it alone. You can check us out at casaelm.com. If this is your first time here, make sure you hit the like button on this video and subscribe if this is content that is of interest to you. That's the website. You can check it out and see what types of programs and experiences we offer here. You can also just kind of click around and see, where we've been in terms of press, media, and just, things that have happened here in terms of events and the types of, experiences you can have if you stay with us at Casa Elm. So I just really want to explain to you that Casa Elm is a space that's more and above and beyond being in an Airbnb. It really does have a home vibe. It doesn't mean it looks like someone's home per se. It's a very nice space, but it kind of makes you feel comfortable when you get here. And I think that that has been kind of like the honey in the mix in terms of what I do. And people get to come, they get to experience San Miguel in a very comfortable way. So it's important that people understand that, and I hope that all of those of you who have been here and have come back multiple times, that you will also share that with whomever's interested in moving abroad. I also want to just say too that I am not here to try to twist anyone's arm to come to Mexico to move, and here's why, la la. I just talk about my experiences, the experiences that I see other people having in this space, and I think that it's really one of those things. Thank you, Jenna. I appreciate you. One of my repeats. I think it's one of those things where, for me, it really gives me a sense of satisfaction that I'm able to be a part of someone's journey, because moving is very drastic. Moving, visiting, staying for a long period of time, trying to figure it all out. It's a lot. It's really a lot. It's a lot to take on. And being able to be a part of that and assist people and see them, going through transition, because it's a lot, looking for their place, looking for their home, proud of it when they find it, going through maybe some of the ups and downs and the left and right situations. But at the end of the day, I'm always really proud to see the progress that people are making. I see them change. I see them bud into individuals who are pursuing things maybe that they didn't get to do or pursue before. I see people creating, coming into kind of a new self, and I really love that transformation, and I am so grateful that a lot of it happens or starts here. I can't say it fully happens here, but it starts here. And just having conversations with people about the things that they're trying to shed. And so I want to continue encouraging all of you who want to leave, who want to move. I know there's a lot of crazy things going on in the north, and I'm not really here to bash and talk about that because, yeah, we already know there's enough going on. I don't need to add to that. I'm not really interested. It doesn't mean that I don't care about the well-being of the citizens or how the people it affects. It just, for me, I feel like this is my purpose on this side. I posted a comment about it, and I had some individuals who felt that I should somehow be maybe more concerned. Well, I'm not, okay? I'm gonna say I'm not, because I feel like I can only do but so much, and my but so much is here, okay? So for anyone who is interested in moving to Mexico, wants help, would like help with their residency, would like information, and wants to know more about San Miguel, they want to know more about, is it good for a family, all the things. That's my purpose, okay? My purpose after living in Mexico for 7 years is not to go back and fight any kind of battles for civil rights in the United States. Just isn't, okay? Other people are there to do that, go for it. I'm just not interested. So I just had to say that out loud because, there was some little comments and stuff going back and forth on a post that I made earlier in the week or last week. So the point of being here tonight is to talk about being a single parent in Mexico and running a business, and just kind of, I want to say it in a way that it's, if you are in that position, or if you are in the position of wanting to start a business, I want to kind of share, some of the things that can be ups and downs, and some of the emotional things as well. And I'm sharing it, I think it's at a vital time because there are a lot of people who are not at retirement stage, or may not be wealthy or feel wealthy enough to leave work, a job, and just move to Mexico. And I want to talk about that a little bit more and just say, I do see a lot of potential here. I didn't necessarily know how to get to these points, but I know that I continue to push through the question marks, continue to push through the how-tos, the struggle with the language, the struggle with maybe fully understanding and feeling comfortable in maybe seeking help in certain areas. And I've also learned, and I'm going to say that I kind of, I've learned how to let go of overthinking things in a way that it stresses me out for no reason. I have a tendency to want to make sure, I'm not perfectionist at all, but I have a tendency to want to make sure that I'm not doing anything that's going to land me into problems, especially here, because I'm running a business and my livelihood. And I just kind of am like, okay, I want to make sure I do this. And sometimes things have to happen for you to learn what's the new process. So I kind of wanted to talk about that a little bit tonight, for anyone who is interested in potentially starting a business, whatever it might be. I know we've touched on this a lot in the past year since we did Redefining Life Abroad, but I also kind of want to talk about it a little bit more from my perspective, and I know I have, but I think it's at a time where you can pursue this and you can do something, and you can do something for yourself. And don't let the unknowns kind of scare you away from that. And I also want to talk about doing it if you are a parent. It doesn't matter if you're a single parent or you're a unit, it doesn't matter. Because what my point will be is I would like to share with you that you can get the support to help you either from a business standpoint, help you with child care, or both. And it's affordable. Overall, yes, there's a lot of balancing and things like that. And I also want to talk about trying to also incorporate taking care, and this message is for me, taking better care of, taking breaks and taking care of ourselves and things like that. I do a lot of self-care things when time allows, or I should say, I kind of schedule or cut it out. But what I realized after traveling for, the last month in January and in December was I wasn't letting go and doing that enough. And it doesn't have to be lengthy. I just think I need to do it more often. And so I want to just kind of talk through some of those things. But before I do that, please make sure you hit the like button. Please to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you're in the chat, please let people know where you're checking in from if you want to. And if there's any questions you have, feel free to share them. So first I want to talk about my tea sponsor. I want to give Michelle Watson her props for sponsoring the tea here at Casa Elm. I always try to remember her. If you haven't heard me speak of her and you don't know about her, please check out the link in the chat. She has organic teas. They're amazing, wonderful flavors, and all the things. She's been sponsoring us for 2 years, and I'm so very proud of her too. She has great things. I know she recently released a book, so check out her website when you get a chance, okay? I want to talk about, of course, Black Blossom. We are officially sold out of the hotel spaces. So that's great. Last week, I think we had one space left and someone booked it. And this is with Tracy, my co-host. So Black Blossom was created with Tracy Collins, who is the co-host of Black Blossom, along with myself. And we're like super excited to have our first wellness retreat, which will be happening in Oaxaca next month, the 25th of March through the 30th. We're going to gather over there, and it's a beautiful place. It's on the beach, boutique hotel. We're going to eat healthy. We're going to have women's workshops, and we're going to have yoga in the morning, led by Tahara. It's really going to be lovely, so I'm very much looking forward to it. Now, if you are still interested in coming and you want to look for your own place to stay, your own Airbnb, we are offering a food and an activities package, and I'm just going to drop the link for you to check it out, and you can see what you could do if you're interested in joining us, but coming on your own accord. Just know that those two packages include the food, and you can join us for the activities that we have scheduled, but we're not helping you. We're not creating an accommodation space for you. You would have to find a space on Airbnb. The details are on the link, okay? So that would be in Selchi, which is in the state of Oaxaca, not too far from the airport. Let's see, what else do I want to share with you? For Casa Elm, we're actually coming up in March on our third half-week relocation tour. I kind of tentatively have a full house, but it's not full house until the space is booked. So you can check it out if that's for you. That's fine. Check us out. It's March 16th through the 20th. And the half week allows you to kind of come in, get all the information you need, and breeze back out. You can find that at the Casa Elm events. I'm going to drop the link in a moment. We also have a full week tour in April, and there's some others throughout the rest of the year as well. I'll probably add some more half-week tours. I just have to kind of check the calendar to see what works best. And I'm saying that because that's something I started this year, and people seemingly are gravitating towards. I think it just allows them to get here, get the info, and leave. My full week tour is like a Saturday to Saturday. The half week is Saturday to Thursday, so a little shorter for those who may be busy and can't spend a whole week here. But the gist and the crux of the information is that you need is the same. The full week tour includes like more entertainment, leisure things, a welcome and a farewell dinner, and a vineyard experience, and all the things. And the other one is kind of like, real estate, immigration, healthcare, cultural norms and presentations and things like that. It's sort of like, and then, you can stay longer if you want, because I do have some people who stay a little longer, or you can, check out on the end of the tour date. So I'll drop that here for you. And if you are interested in, another date, just let me know if it's not available. on the calendar, feel free. Yes, her teas are delicious, Jetta. What's up, Jetta? Hi, Lisa. Welcome. Let's see. Kay, welcome. And I'm sorry, I don't know how to spell your name. Say your name. I don't know if there's a short version for the first person who checked in and let me know that could not hear me. Let's see, ¿qué más is happening over here? So those are things I wanted to share with you. Okay, so if you have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. As far as being a single parent with a business abroad, I don't think it's a whole lot different from being a single parent with a business in the US or Canada or anywhere else, right? I think the stresses that I find are, and I'm going to kind of just quickly cover the pros and cons, but the stresses that I find really come to the language. And even if I were more fluent, my Spanish is, I guess it's decent. I don't think it would change a lot. It would definitely help, but I think sometimes there's just like a disconnect along the way. And it's not just the language, it's the language and the way people, I think, understand things within their own language as Spanish speakers, right? How we might approach something in a full sentence. It's gonna be maybe, like this, I don't know. And I had to talk to myself yesterday because was it yesterday? Yes, yesterday. I was like, the day before I went out to get some stuff that I needed, paint specifically. And I said, I want white paint, no color. I need an oil base. It's for wood furniture. And I want it in a satin finish, right? And I said all of it very clearly. So the first challenge was, and I'm just sharing this with you because I want to share the conversation I had with myself after some of the stuff kind of started frustrating me. So I got the stuff, and then the guy comes out with 2 gray buckets, no label, no name of what it is, and like a top on it. It just felt and looked generic, right? Like the generic medicine you get at the drugstore. So I kind of said, what is this? And he said, it's the paint and it's this and that. And he was explaining it to me. And I said, how come? So I was skeptical. I said, how come there's no label? And the reason I wanted a can, because they had so many cans in front of me with labels on them, because it allows me to kind of double, triple look at what I'm getting. And that's just one example, but it allowed me to look at it, and I had never received paint this way. And so I was already skeptical, and I said, is it this, is it that? So I asked them to write on it what it was, and the lady was explaining to me, it's already on the receipt. And I was like, it doesn't matter about the receipt, because if in a year from now, sometimes you start collecting and accumulating and you don't know what it is or whatever, and if there's 0 label on it, you may not remember, what are those 2 buckets? What did I use that for? And so I said, can you please write it on the bucket that I really thought I should have gotten a tin can of white paint with the name of the store and the type of white paint it was and what it was for and all the things. In the end, I brought it to, what I was doing with it, and they let me know that in the evening, possibly it was water-based, not oil. And I was just like, so I sent like these angry emojis, and I was like, arr, arr, arr. And I didn't say, I was just like, okay. But I was frustrated with the store, not the people, clearly the people doing the work, nothing to do with them. But then they said it was okay. So then the next day, they said it wasn't okay. It was water and this and that. And I was just like, I'm so tired of like running back and forth and all these little things and whatever. And so what I said to myself as I'm driving over to change this paint, which on the receipt said I can't change and I can't do whatever. And I was like, yeah, we're gonna change this paint. And so when I got to the store, on my way over there, I kept talking to myself, and I said, okay, what could make these situations minimal? What could alleviate like this kind of constant running around? And I do think it is learning how to communicate better. When I think I'm being really, really clear, I realize, okay, maybe practicing your Spanish even more, right? Really making sure, I feel like that's a stressor of, you think you've got it clear and then it's not. And so imagine having those experiences times 100 times in a day. It's kind of like, no, that's not what I said. That's not what I meant, And so I started to say, well, what and how could I make it better for me? And how could I improve this so that this happens less often? Because in the work that I do, I don't only just integrate with my guest, I am the go-between for them in many scenarios, but I also have to really integrate and actively work with people who do not speak English at all, and that's okay. I don't expect them to. But I do understand, I don't know, I have a bum light. This went out last week. I do understand that, it's not their fault, it's just sometimes I think it overwhelms me so I'm gonna turn on my Blair Witch light. Thanks to Jetta for telling me what the name of that movie was last week. And I'm also gonna check to see if there's anything I need to say or comment on. Okay, here we go, that's fine. So in saying that, I kind of self-evaluated what are the stressors, what can I eliminate and alleviate in my own business and my own business situations, because having a brick and mortar is clearly going to be very different from having a business that is online and digital, where maybe most of the people you're communicating online with speak your language, right? Because that's usually what we're trying to do with remote work, right? So in saying all of that, I was talking to myself on the way to the paint shop, and I was kind of letting my frustrations get the better of me. And I also kind of realized like the culture here is not aggressive, right? It's not, and I can be a little bit like this. I mean, I'm chill, but sometimes I get a little bit overwhelmed with just kind of like, in my mind, there's so many things that feel common sense, but I'm like, well, maybe they're just not, maybe they're just not common sense. And I need to stop thinking like, why are you doing that? Or why this or why that? And why would you, and my brain constantly goes like this when I see work being done and I see either a potential other problem happening. And so yesterday I had to kind of step away from the scenario, and I said, okay, you just don't return to the scenario, right? Just let them do their thing. That doesn't mean loosely. It just means they already know what they have to do. They already know what they have to fix. So just, go and relax. And I had to check in with my feelings and my emotions, and I just realized that I needed to step away from that. And I think sometimes we have to listen to these things when working in these spaces, because it's certainly more frustrating. I mean, I had a business or businesses in the United States as well, and I had my fair share of the foolishness, okay? And when I say that, I had a it was like a property service business where I worked with contractors, I worked with people who installed floors, people who painted, women who cleaned, you name it, people who did trash outs for me for properties that investors were trying to flip and all the things. So I know really a lot about getting a house from here to here, right, way up. And even then I had a lot of foolishness. So here it's like not so much foolishness, it's just a combination of how people want to do what they're doing, and then how you would want it, and then the language. So I just want to say, the pros about being a single parent and a business owner, I think are going to be the same. So one of the things that I find a pro is is flexibility and freedom. I mean, I'm still busy, but I can say that taking the break, doing what I need to do for myself, taking a break, mental breaks and stuff like that, it's not me asking someone for permission, and that feels amazing. I'm not waiting till I retire to do it. If I need to just tell people, like for example, we have an event this weekend, Black Music Month. Black History Month, but we're doing a concert, and I say we because I'm a part of the committee that put it together. Soul Fusion with Jackie Copeland. She's amazing. That's happening this Saturday, February 22nd. So if you're in San Miguel, come out to Geek and Coffee and hang out with us. It starts at 1 till 6. Danielle's performing. If you've been following my channel, you've seen her sing. She's a beautiful voice. Jackie Copeland's performing. She's the founder of Soul Fusion. We have Steffi, who's amazing, Afro-Colombiano, and it's just gonna be fun. We did this last June and we're doing it this February, and I'm cooking. So I said, okay, we're not going to do, anything else but this tomorrow and Friday and Saturday. We're gonna prepare food and we're gonna cook and we're gonna do all the things. And I like having this kind of freedom to be able to do that. It's no knock to anyone who works or has a job, no knock at all. But I like the pro of having that freedom. And I also love the pro of living in Mexico and having the support when I need it, either with my business or helping me as a single mom with my child or with my house. I talk a lot about Sandra, who's such a beautiful woman who works here, and she just really holds down so many things in my business, and I'm super appreciative for her. She's going to be right there next to us cooking this weekend. There's definitely the ebb and flow when it comes to people who help you. We'll talk a little bit more about that. There's definitely the lower cost of living, which includes being able to afford getting help. And I want to say, don't take advantage, and definitely don't take it for granted, okay? Because if you lived in the US and you didn't have, an abundance of funds, you already know what it is to clean your own house, right? So if you have someone who comes and helps you clean your house, make sure you are good to them, respectful, don't treat them as anything lesser, make sure you follow the rules. And, those are things that I've learned along the way in terms of having a business. There are certain rules that just have to be followed, or certain things that I should say you do to protect yourself, because if you're not a Mexican and something pops off, you're definitely going to be targeted more in this regard, because that's a part of the culture and that's the way it is. I'm sure someone in Mexico would beg to differ, but that's basically what it is. Like today, we were asking for some prices for something, and I told Sandra and this gentleman, I said, okay, I'm not getting out the car. You go ask them, because I want the Mexican price. They were laughing at me. And I said, no, I'm serious. So, there's just kind of sometimes this inequality that exists, but it is what it is. Hi, Benita. Buenas noches. Bienvenidos. So another thing I want to talk about is it's really good as a parent with children to clearly have your kids exposed to another culture, for you to be exposed to another culture. In the capacity of what I do, I think it's really a beautiful thing to be able to have people who are coming here and maybe be the first touch in terms of their experience as well. There are a lot of folks that have been to Mexico, maybe on a cruise ship, or they went to a resort somewhere and they stayed in all-inclusive. That's not experiencing Mexico, okay? If I go to Jamaica and I stay in a resort, I'm not experiencing Jamaica, I'm at a resort, right? And the resort can be anywhere, any beach in the world. It's just people have a different dialect or a different language. It's the same experience, in my opinion. One may be nicer than the other, but if you're just staying there at the resort, it's the same. Now, having people come here to central Mexico, it's not the resort thing, and they want the authenticity of being in central Mexico or in a place that's not so, touristy in terms of an all-inclusive, then yeah, this is it. And I like that I can be a part of some of those first experiences. I've had so many people that have come who never visited Mexico ever, or some who had not even traveled internationally, and they just were pushing themselves outside of their own little shell. And I think that's beautiful, right? And so I pride myself when someone expresses to me a concern. Sometimes I'm just kind of like, chill out, like it's okay. But other times I also, tell them like, okay, just WhatsApp me, let me know when you landed in your first leg so we know that you're good. And if anything changes or comes up. So it's like sort of, a little bit of hand holding along the way. And so it allows me in this capacity as this business owner to be a part of all those journeys. And I talk about that a lot. It allows me to really share like the joy that I get to experience living here with others, whether you're visiting or you're interested in moving all together. And so for me, having the exposure myself to a whole different culture, my son has, the exposure from a child standpoint, learning another language, pushing through the things, but also having people in my life that are from this culture, from this place, and seeing just kind of the joy of how they receive us, I think is also really a beautiful thing, So for me, I really enjoy that. And I do think that, when you're able to save money and when you're able to expose your children, if you have children, doesn't matter their age, whether they come at Micah's age, 5, 6, or a baby or a teenager. He's about to be a teenager. I think it just helps to change what happens in the future. And to me, that's building wealth of the mind. It's not just about money. Yes, you're saving money. And yes, if you start younger, chances are you can really, build wealth in this place where things are not crazy over the top expensive. You can find other parts of Mexico. I've said this to people about going to somewhere where you may just love it, right? You may just love it in that place. And you may say, well, it doesn't really have the same kind of community that San Miguel has. It doesn't matter. I really feel like it doesn't matter. If I find another place somewhere in Mexico, I may be like, okay, you know what? Let me open another space over there, because build it, they will come, because there's going to be someone that wants to go to that space, right? So that's a part of having the business. I feel with Mexico, there are less red tape things. If you're able to meet the requirements, you're not necessarily going to be fully priced out of things, and you're probably going to be able to really help someone in that community with a job or jobs, again, treating them fair, understanding the laws, understanding the rules, and also protecting yourself so you're not taken advantage of. And even if you are, I know several people that have gone through the ringer with certain situations, and they still are loving Mexico, because I do think negative things can happen in anywhere we are. I do think that, we can be defrauded, because sometimes when we get here, we're like, oh, okay, it doesn't matter, you can pay for that, and I'm going to take care of it, and I say all the time, don't just give people money, give them a deposit. Maybe if they want a deposit, that's fair, because they probably have to buy materials and things like that. Or if they buy materials for you and you're reimbursing them, get a receipt, all the things, and just try to be the same kind of consciousness that you would use at home, you would use here as well, in terms of, having your own business or just having your own house or starting something, try to use people that are recommended to you from people that are reputable, right? For example, I was seeking an attorney for something, and, I've had several, and it depends on what it is, because I have questions about things. And I was like, I really need this type. And, you know, I asked someone and she knew and she gave me an answer and I connected with that person. And I was just like, okay, this is great. So now I feel that I'm kind of building, you know, like a couple layers of things that I need. And a lot of people will come and ask me, you know, for contacts of things because I've already been through stuff. And that's a part of, you know, having the business, living abroad is continuing to network and continuing to ask questions. And that's also something that I experienced in my travels, you know, and you all too. You're networking here by watching my channel, contacting or coming to Casa Elm, and then you also get to get connected out there with other people that, you know, you may need help with, you know, something, whatever that might be. Everyone has like a different thing. Of course, you start with one thing or three things, immigration, I need a place to live, whatever. But as you get those places, you may say, I need a plumber. I need someone who is an electrician because this isn't working in my house, or I really need a good, trustworthy house sitter, you know, Stephanie Perry, all the things, you know. So I think it's important to always remember that you have to network, but I feel that here, that's a huge pro. It's really easy to do that in San Miguel, at least in my opinion. It's been really beautiful. I felt that I had a lot of people that I could, thank you, Sanibel. I just saw it. I'm moving my phone away from the computer so I can welcome. Also, I can see the questions and things. So just bear with me as I'm talking through stuff. I'm on a roll when I get on my roll. So in saying, you know, the things that I wanted to say is the five pros that I kind of felt were the freedom and flexibility, talked about that, the lower cost of living, which, you know, really allows you to free up a little more of your time as a parent. You know, I remember when Michael was really young in the US, I just felt like I was constantly going, running. And even though I had my own business, I really didn't feel like I had the support for times when I may have just needed a break or I wanted to go out, which wasn't often, but if I wanted to go out somewhere, sometimes I had to wait for my mom to come down and stay with me for 2 months so I could have, like, you know, some adult moments and things like that. We're well beyond that. But here, I feel like I can even travel if I want to. And, you know, I have trustworthy people that I can call on to help me with my child, you know, and I think that that's definitely something that I had a hard time with in the United States. You know, for those who have family living close by or whatever that you trust and you love and you know that they are going to take care of your kid and all the things, I think that's beautiful. But I think there are a lot of parents, single parents, parents in general, who don't always have that if they already live somewhere else. But I can say living here has definitely been a different experience that has allowed me a little bit of, you know, ease. We were talking about ease and soft life with Yvonne McBride and Tracy Collins the other day. And I said, I don't know what the soft life is because I'm working all the time. I know what having and being in control of my own things feels like. So yeah, you know, not knocking the soft life, but it doesn't resonate with me. And then, you know, like I said, exposure to different cultures, having the support of the local community and also the expat community. Like the expat community here is really beautiful. You know, I think people still come together. I do feel that in the US, when tragedy or trauma strikes, people do have a very healthy, voluntary way of coming together to help their community, whether it's, you know, a storm and people need food and stuff like that. I can say that that is a plus in the US. And people can bring that as well with them down to San Miguel because, you know, we have a pretty extensive expat community here. Now, some of the cons of being the single parent abroad or even in general anywhere is, you know, it's kind of like, for me, it's not a big con, but because I'm saying I have a support, but, you know, it's like your parenting system can be kind of like this, you know. In my particular case, I can say that I'm very grateful that Micah's dad is super supportive of the fact that we live here has always been, because I always say that's the one person who could have said no, and I don't know, because I was like, I'm leaving, but always was supportive of leaving, moving abroad, being somewhere else for the reasons that made sense, and is why is plenty of the reasons why we're here. I just wanted to raise him in another place. I wanted him to have the global citizen scenario and all the things, and I really am grateful for that. Comes and supports him and takes him to see the family on the other side in St. Martin and in Florida and all the things. So I'm very grateful for that. But for those who may not have that kind of support, I think it can be really difficult. It can be difficult if the other parent is not cooperating and it's an underage child, right? I've had some people who shared some scenarios and situations and over the years, and I think that that's really hard, because if you feel, okay, I really want to go, I really want to be here, I really want to do this, this is for me, this is for my child, I really want to be in this other place, and you can't because maybe, you're still together and they just aren't having it, or you're not together and they're not having it. Again, they can prevent you from maybe living that out. And maybe, if your child is very young, you gotta wait till they're old enough to make their own decision, or you're walking away, and who's gonna do that, right? So I think that those are some of the cons that you can run into, right? Being the single parent who wants to move. I've had a lot of people over the years from, I would say 2019, when I started my channel. I remember someone reaching out to me, and I think she had 3 children, and she just sounded in her message so distraught and wanted to leave, and what do I do? What can I don't know what was going on, never really had a conversation, but the message felt really heavy for me. And I just kind of was like, you can't just get up and go, unfortunately, that's just the way it is. Some places you can't even go to the next state, right? Or county, I don't really know how that works. But I'm fortunate that I haven't had to deal with those kind of custody type battles and things like that. So I'm always grateful for this, but that can be a con, right? For you as a single parent who may want to leave. And again, the complexities of that are going to be getting a visa or getting the residency. You need that other parent, unless you have full custody, you need that other parent's permission to do that, right? And you can't come over here and start a business if you're not here legally. Well, you shouldn't. I mean, you can, but you shouldn't. That's it. Sorry, today it's really hot. I have to have a drink here. So, I'm just kind of talking through some of the things that could be a challenge if you are a parent. I'm sure like a lot of my demographic have grown kids. Some may have kids who are going off to college. I had a client who contacted me 1 or 2 days ago, and I'm super happy for you, Retha. She said her daughter, and I think her daughter's child, got their approval to get their residency here in Mexico. And I said, congratulations to them for going this route. I've also had conversations with clients recently that were here, and they also want their children to pursue getting their residency, whether they were already grown-up children or underage children, right? So I think in this day and age, and the way things, the climate and temperature of the world, and things that are going on in the north of Mexico, I think it's important to pursue getting the things that you need to be able to start a business if you want, a brick and mortar business, whatever that is. I really, really believe that it can be done here. I do business consultations, and that's not really why I came here to sell that to you, but if you do need it, you can check that out at my website under consultations. But I feel that I am the testimony of a person who reinvented herself in this space, because I didn't come here, when I moved here in 2018, I didn't anticipate that I was going to fully reinvent myself. And I've always been an entrepreneurial mindset. I've always pursued doing different businesses. You know, the people and friends that know me, they already know. I'm very tenacious about things and my ideas, I should say, my ideas. And I get like, oh my God, this is amazing, whatever. And I've learned to really calm down, curb it, and whatever. But I am a generator. I am constant, like, okay, okay, let's do this, let's do that. I like to create, I like to visually create spaces, things that people can enjoy. I love cooking in those spaces and bringing people together in those spaces. There's just something about this that lights me on fire, right? It's just something I love. So in saying all of that, I feel that it's been easiest to do it in Mexico. I found my niche, but I see all these beautiful people here creating and doing things, like Jackie started her supper club. It's beautiful, right? She kind of told me one day, she said, Michelle, I'm real sensitive and people don't know that I have like a lot of hesitation about my food. And I mean, I was like, oh my God, really? Because your food is phenomenal, and the presentation, and she put the flowers and stuff. My food tastes good, but it doesn't have flowers on it, okay? I'm not decorating my food. I'll decorate the house. So I was like, just telling her, like, it's beautiful. Like, and I see her thriving and, doing all her things. And this all happened in a year of just, grabbing it and grasping onto whatever it is, whatever that might be. I was talking to Tahara, love Tahara. She's going to be our yoga instructor at the retreat next month, and she's super talented. She came over the other day to create a charcuterie board for me, and she's just naturally good at it. And I was just like, you could do this, that, and I said, and for your classes, for your yoga, you could be online, you could have a membership, I'm like constantly la 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 la. And I feel so like excited for people because I feel that it is a space where it's kind of affordable for you to start something and try something, because that is the culture in Mexico. There will be a person on the side of the road selling whatever. Like the city doesn't give them a hard time per se. There's vendors all the time. And I mean, there are places you can set up a table for literally $3 for the day. And I'm like, what's stopping you? You want to bake some pies? There are places for you to do that. There are places who will buy it from you because there's not all the red tape that you have to go through, the fire hoops that you have to go through in the US. So I hope that, people kind of, this resonates with them in some way. To me, it's a pro. It's just understanding, how you can kind of push through things. Make sure you get the help, make sure you get the legal help. I think it's important that you ask for assistance if you're not sure how to start something. Maybe your space is a little more complex. I remember a gentleman, quite a few years ago, he did a consultation with me, and he was interested in doing a lounge, like a wine club or something like that, a wine bar. And I was like, that would be lovely, with some nice lounge music, or a little Friday night jazz, or a couple nights a week jazz. I was like, go for it, I think that would be lovely. But in those scenarios, you want to make sure you get help. You want to make sure you're doing it right so they don't come and disturb your peace, right, and your investment. So it's not hard, in my opinion, to kind of get going, maybe find someone to do it with, if you're married, maybe your partner's helping you, whatever it is, I feel like those are not cons, but the cons can be the legal things, the legal complexities that maybe you don't know about, and that's why you should get help. You should always get help and ask a lot of questions, okay? So, so I also want to, let's see, what was the other points here? Let's see. Also, you know, you may not have the support that you're looking for in terms of, you know, from your family, from your friends, because sometimes people can't understand your vision, you know, because it's not theirs to understand. And it doesn't mean, you know, they're not happy for you or they wouldn't be happy for you. It just means that they may not always be able to understand where you're coming from, why you want to move abroad, why would you want to take the risk of starting a business abroad? And I say, why not? You know, I think life is too short for us to sit down and wonder about the what ifs and what if this and what if that. I don't think you should crash and burn, but I also think that if you have an opportunity to pursue it and don't let fear take over and wipe you out, you know. Thank you so much, Benita. I appreciate that. I really think that a lot of us have talents. One of my natural talents is and has been decorating homes. I love, from when I was a kid, I loved interior design. I don't know, there's something about it that just always felt very easy for me. And I can tell you, I talked myself out of being a designer my entire life, but I've always had opportunities to design, right? I've had plenty of opportunities, and I find that when I'm done with a space, I then create another project that allows me to continue doing this innate, natural thing that I can do. And that's being creative. Now, if I were able to sew clothes, maybe that would be it, right? I'd be a designer. If I was a painter, maybe that would be it. Whatever, if I were someone who could naturally draw or play music, then I would keep doing that, right? And I think we all have something, and sometimes maybe it got squashed somewhere, you know, and I think that sometimes life dishes us, you know, so many distractions from what our passions are and what we're naturally, innately great at, because we are all great at something or some things. And I think that we have to sometimes listen to that. And I've learned over the years that I am really good at community and bringing people together, even though I don't need to be in the center of that, meaning I don't have to be like, oh, and you know, whatever. It just means I really enjoy the synergies that people have, and then bringing that kind of like creating the synergy that people kind of connect with, and they're kind of like, oh, you know, for example, if I have a guest and I see for a few days, this is this person's thing and that person's whatever. It may take someone a little bit of time to open up a little bit. They may just need a little more comfort, a little more whatever, a little more, you know, support, or a little more listening to. And then I'll say, well, what persons in the community would they most connect and resonate with, and who's an icebreaker kind of thing. And I like to bring them together and let's eat, because food is always going to, like they say, the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. I think the way to anyone's heart is through their stomach, because eating is universal. And so I look at that and I say, okay, you know, let's come together this way. So it's just one of those scenarios where I think we are all capable of stuff, and you should not be fearful to pursue it, basically. And sometimes moving abroad inspires you to come outside of that fearful mindset, that limiting mindset, and explore. And again, I said there's the pros and there's the cons, whether you're me as a single parent or you're maybe multiple single parents, you know, that, yeah, you know, that's an idea. So yeah, more ideas. How about some multiple single parents come and get a house together and raise your children? If you need that support. That's something I actually thought about doing in Florida. I wanted to do like a nonprofit because I thought it would be easier if we were more of a community of single parents raising one or two children, because I definitely wouldn't want to live in a house with someone with five and I had one. I don't think I would like that. Nothing against anyone who have multiple kids. I just kind of think it would be a lot. But I kind of had this vision way back when Michael was born. What if I could find a home like Casa Elm and support other single parents? Most of the time they're women, but I had the mindset of vetting them and bringing them in, and let's see how we can maybe, alter pickups, alter meal prep, share the expense of the house, the shopping, and all the things. So this is how I always kind of am viewing things in life. And I think coming here has allowed all of us to kind of support each other. For example, with Tracy, Alan, Bobby, Tahara, so many of us in this community where we're still working, we're still business people, and it's such a beautiful thing to be able to bounce ideas off of them as well and get support from a business standpoint. So I just think that it kind of continues to go around in this way, and it's good karma. Limited family support, yeah, I said that already, but to be honest with you, that it's a con when you're trying to move abroad, you're a single parent potentially. However, I do think that you can get help in the places that you move to, but be sure if it's not Mexico, because I'm only speaking for Mexico, I feel culturally people are more supportive from a family standpoint. So you as a person with a child, typically they're going to look at you in terms of like a unit, you and your kid, and they're also going to want to be like, are you okay? Or do you want to come to this party and whatever? It can feel isolating sometimes if you can't speak the language, but the kids are going to have fun, but you may be at the table and then you're going to have the delayed laugh because you didn't know what they're laughing about and you just laughed after, right? That happens in the beginning a lot. But I remember when I first got here, I got invited to so many parties. I did not know the people, but I met somebody at a school event, and then they, oh yeah, I'm having a party on this. And they are really warm and loving. And I think that you can get, even though you may have limited biological family support, you can still get that in this community here. I think Mexicans are just more family oriented in this way, right? Another con, and I'm going to wrap this up soon, but another con is unpredictable income, right? Because if you have like predictable expenses that have all other predictable expenses, like, things break down, or unpredictable expenses like things breaking down and all the things, having unpredictable income as an entrepreneur can be a little stressful. I think what's important is to make sure that once you're a little more established, that you price yourself in the right way. I think a lot of mistakes that we do as entrepreneurs is we don't pay ourselves. And I know that that's something that Stephanie Perry, Tracy talks about, Dee from Brown Girls Invest too. That's something that comes up often is we think sometimes in pricing things, the expenses that are, okay, I got to pay these bills and I got to take care of this and I got to make sure that's okay. And I got to make sure, like, I got food for here, I have soap, and I need extras of whatever. In my case, towels and sheets and replacement things and whatever. But sometimes we forget to pay ourselves and we forget to build those things into the cost. And a lot of the things that we're running around to re-up on, it's our time, helping people that you're facilitating, not just for an event. It is a lot of time and care, and I've learned to kind of incorporate that, but not necessarily, I hope, not change the experience that people have. And I love the fact that I'm here because I really get more interaction, and I think that that makes it more special as well. So it's just one of those things where sometimes, your income can be like, oh, but you also have to kind of think in terms of seasonal things. Seasonal is also in Mexico, and it's not just about high season, low season. It's everything. Maybe certain times of the year, people are not so interested in, I don't know, getting their hair or their nails done. I don't really know if that's a good example, but maybe they're not going out and doing as much because it's not that time of year. And maybe other times of the year, they're going to do more. If you're someone who maybe is catering events and food, maybe it's busier a certain time of the year. So just kind of factoring in those things, finding out what your competition is. And if you cook and your food is good, chances are it doesn't matter who your competition is. I'm not talking for myself. I'm just saying that as an example, but that definitely is a factor, especially when you're living abroad. It can feel a little bit more of a roller coaster ride, and I don't know that it's a huge difference, at least in my scenario, from having a business in Florida and here, in terms of unpredictable income, and okay, I'll elaborate a little bit. I want to say this because I worked for a lot of years in corporate, about 15 years in corporate first. So I have a lot of that experience where, I knew exactly what my check was. I knew what my insurance costs and all the things, right? And I knew every 2 weeks I'm getting this exact amount of money. And I remember when I left and I started working in a different capacity, and it was such a shock to my system because I was kind of like, oh my God, like how much am I going to make, doing this on this day? And, and then it just hit me. I was just like, okay, you may not get it in exact amounts, but I averaged what it was for the month, and it was actually more, and I had more time. And that's when I started realizing quality of time is really important. And I said, you're working way less hours. It's definitely a more physical situation, but you're actually making more money, and you're actually enjoying yourself and having more fun, and you have the freedom to leave and go and do whatever. So it just helped me start really thinking in terms of quality of life and time. And although I work a lot here, it's just one of those things where, yes, income is unpredictable, and sometimes you have to, take your time and be careful. But I also know that if I don't want to work tomorrow, I don't have to. But that's not true. I actually have to. Meaning I can set my own schedule, I guess. Or my schedule sets me. I just don't have to answer to a boss. I'm my own boss. But I'm busy a lot of the time, and I don't mind, getting the bags under my eyes. So things like this. And I don't mind. I've learned to adjust to the unpredictable scenarios, which can be scary. And I can tell you in these, I don't know how many, I'm going to say almost 20 years, it's been all right. Okay, it's been all right. Again, you got to be smart. You got to save. Tap into people like Dee, Brown Girls Invest Too, and anyone else to help you with things. Ways to do side things if you need to. So I just want to see, what type of business did you have in Florida? Hi Val, welcome. I had a property service business, so property management companies would hire me and my crew to turn apartments over when they were vacated by a renter. So, and it's a business that I had faith about. It sort of happened. I didn't know it was gonna be this way in particular, but I started on paper, and I actually it's a great story, but I won't give you all the details right now. But from one day to the next, I called this woman. It was completely unrelated to my business. I was calling to ask her about a property that was next door to the house that had a for rent sign on it. And I was just curious because I was interested in getting an investment home and flipping it. I was always interested in doing this. So I wanted to know whose boarded up house was that next door. And this woman called me back and she was kind of like, oh, you're interested in this house for rent? I said, no, I'm actually interested in the house next door. And because it was clearly the same architecture and it seemed like shared land, I thought maybe they were the owners because the house had no other signs on it, the boarded up house. And she kind of said, well, we have 183 properties in our portfolio. And I was like, for myself, I was just like, portfolio, who? She has 183 properties. And she was kind of like, if you want the law, if you want to buy something, then maybe blah, blah, blah. And one conversation led to the next, And within 24 hours, the business that I created on paper was suddenly a business. And that's what my business was. And we started out where I even interviewed and hired people before I had work for them. And I remember one lady in particular who worked with me, she called me almost every day. She'd be like, do you have any work for me yet? And I'd say, not yet, Gloria, we're gonna get it, it's coming. And she's like, okay, I'm going to the church, I'm gonna pray. She was Catholic. And so from one day to the next, I suddenly was property service. So when someone would move out of a home, and a lot of these homes were like, people really were living horribly. And it was all caliber of people, like nice neighborhoods, not so great. And suddenly I was known as, I forgot what I called myself, it'll come to me, but I was the company that turned the business over in 3 to 5 days. And I had contractors, I would go in, and so instead of her as the property management company going to her 100 and whatever properties to see, well, and they weren't all vacant, but to see, okay, did this one paint that one? Let me run over here and let me do this and let me go check on this one. I offered my services, and that's how I created my business. And I said, I will be the boots on the ground. You got to pay me for it. And I will go into each property when people would leave, and I would literally create a long list of all the things they needed. And they had to, some of them had to be compliant for, what's it called when they kind of give you money? Section 8. Some of them were Section 8 properties, so they have to be compliant with fire codes and, locks and things like that. And I would go in, I would make a complete list of all the supplies and everything they needed, and I would give them a quote, and I would tell them how long it would take, and then they would give me 50% deposit, and I always made sure my supplies were covered and the people working for me were covered, and then I would get paid when we were done in 3 to 5 days. And I had to kind of convince them that this was good for them, because some of the houses would sit on the market because people would walk in, and although it was cleaned, there was a lot of damage. And I said, why not just fix it all up front? And you could literally, we started helping them rent places before they were even finished. Like, people would come in and they would already be signing contracts and things like that. So that's what I did in Florida. Yeah. Let's see. Subcontracting, kind of subcontracting, kind of say managing the process of, basically, I guess subcontracting in some ways. I had a crew of people, and, I would make sure that the work was getting done. I would, supervising to make sure that, and coordinating all the work, like, you come over here, you do this, and making sure that this is what I said would be delivered, and it's delivered. Someone told me I should do it here. I was like, oh no, hell no. So, yeah, those are some of the things that I wanted to touch on this evening. Let's see, I feel like there was one more thing on my list, The last is the emotional and physical burnout that you can experience. I think you have to have a very high tolerance level, one, to just be a single parent, and I think too, we have to be careful to not take things out on our children, emotionally. I'm quick to apologize to my kid if I'm wrong about something. And I'm also kind of slow to kind of say things at times, I mean, if I need to say whatever, but I say this often, I'm like, okay, how we act and how we are sometimes is within our DNA and our culture and our approach. Like, we might see children acting a certain way and we'd be like, oh, my kid better not do that. And they know better. And that's a part of our culture, right? As brown and black people, we're like, oh, heck no, they better straighten up and la, 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 la. But I think too, some of that harshness comes from how we were raised as well. And I think that emotional, physical burnout can really come very easily when you have a brick and mortar, you're a single parent. Even with all the help, you're tired, you're exhausted, you stay up late hours, late nights doing a lot of different things. I know I do. But again, going back to making sure you take the time to reset and regroup. And I think that for myself, I'm not always great at doing that. I kind of am like, okay, get rest, go to sleep, wake up, repeat. And I'll go through it hard. And going away allows me to just realize like the world and your business won't fall apart just because you took a break, right? And when you're tired and exhausted, sometimes you can end up taking out things on your child or children, and you just want to be mindful of this on a regular basis, And I think for me, one of the things that I don't love is sometimes I feel like I'm so busy. I feel like, okay, him being in the vicinity of where I am is good, but it's maybe not enough. So sometimes I have to be conscious about making sure we spend time doing things that have nothing to do with work, nothing to do with school. And why it was a beautiful 7 weeks of us traveling and really hardcore like this in Jamaica. I mean, it was just the two of us and it was lovely. And I remember many times observing him and saying, man, like he's getting bigger, but there were just some maturities there that I didn't really notice or see before. And, or I wasn't paying attention to. And I was just kind of like, oh my God, he's getting bigger, different conversation. He's very funny, just like, I love our little like laughter and our jokes and things together, and that we're both very silly when it comes to hanging out with each other. And I just kind of realized like I want to do that more often while he is less than 18 years old, because who knows what he's going to be doing in a couple years, So I think that it's important to recognize when you're heading maybe down the path of burnout in any job or work or situation you may have. Being here, I think sometimes it can feel a little more overwhelming. And I'm going to say a lot of it for me is simply because there are a lot of manual things to do, right? There's like a lot of manual, you have to take your time to figure out, okay, who's going to do my taxes? How do I get them? All this stuff. And I'm still not the best at using all the apps that are out there. I'm still kind of like, okay, go over here, pull this money out, run over here, pay this person. Like today I was talking to Sandra and she was telling me, yesterday we need this and we need some paint thinner. And I had already left the store after I changed the paint. Those who heard the earlier part of my story. I'm like, okay. So I turn around, I go back and I get paint thinner. And then today they need another liter of paint thinner. And they also needed some caulk and silicone. And I was like, yo, I said, I'm not a taxi. I literally said in Spanish. I'm not a taxi. I said, listen, give me a list of the supplies. If you say you need 2, I'm gonna buy you 4, because I don't wanna keep doing this. And these are the communication things where I understand their viewpoint, because they're very frugal and they're trying not to just buy stuff and then it's sitting on the shelf, right? And coming from the US, I think we have a tendency to have backups of everything, right? The what if moments and the what if supply. But honestly, I don't mind having the extras, because I do not want to go to the store every day to get you 1 more liter of paint thinner, because none of y'all got a car. So they do, but they don't buy things. They show up and they'll be like, oh, by the way, I need a paintbrush. It's like, but you're a painter. Okay, so things like this, and sometimes burnout can come from that. So it's like the communication, sometimes you have to pay attention so you can say where they're not running you as a horse, running around the city. But I understand too, their viewpoint is they don't like to overbuy things. They don't want to overspend or overdo. And they're always conscious of the money thing. And I also don't want to be frivolous either and be like, oh yeah, let's just buy 10 of those, and because I don't necessarily need a lot of paint thinner for things. I do use caulk a lot, so I was just like, okay, let's get 4. So there are those things that can sometimes feel overwhelming, because I do feel that once I wake up in the morning, I am on the move, the go. I'm doing things. I'm driving my car. I'm getting stuff, simple things like light bulbs. I gotta check this out, or whatever. So it's just something to think about when you have your own thing. Is you have to also be there, not just for the business, but you have to be there for the things that the business needs. You need to be there for yourself, and I don't always have enough time to do self-care. I realized that when I was traveling, I was like, I'm not really doing the resting well. I'm like kind of thinking about stuff and I'm fighting sleep, and I need to rest and sleep well. Once I go to sleep, I'm all right. So just kind of making, I'm preaching right now about stuff that I need to do myself, but just, yeah, those are the points. So being a single parent, business owner abroad is extremely rewarding. I wouldn't change anything. I love it. I love what I do. I love all the encounters that I get to have with people. I love the space that I get to provide for you all. I thank you from the bottom of my heart, my soul, for coming here. If you have, or if you're coming in the future, I really, really appreciate you. I appreciate the support. I have a guest, we were talking last night, and she was just like, I want to support your business. And I just have to say that if it wasn't for that mentality and that thing, I don't know how sustainable this would be. And I'm just really grateful that it is. I'm grateful it's not humongous, it's a good size, it's a nice size home, but it really makes it a more intimate experience when people come, and it allows me to get to know people in a different way, not just I gave you a space and I provided you with a program. Jetta knows a lot of the groups that I have created. They're still in there on WhatsApp chatting every now and then, talking to each other, and I just love to see that. I love to see it. I may not always say things, but I'm really, really, I smile and I just kind of look at all the messages going back and forth. So for all the groups that come, Relocation, whatever it is, the October meetup, that's coming up, so make sure you sign up for that. If you're interested, we're going to have spaces here at Casa. I think we still have 3 left, and this is happening in October. You can find that on the events page. But we create groups in WhatsApp, so when we're all here, we can communicate together, and then they continue the relationship after, and I think that's a beautiful thing. So, rah to all my sisters who keep it going. Yes, I know, we are family now. Yes, I don't rest enough. I'm trying. I rested when I was away. I did let go when I was away. So anyway, that's it for tonight. I'm glad that you joined me. The year is going by fast. Please don't dismay with everything. If you're interested in leaving, moving abroad, moving to Mexico, you already know what to do, right? Go to casaelm.com, check out the programs, check out when we're doing relocation. If you just want to come and, you want to handle and do some of the things yourself, maybe it's not within the budget you have, you can do that too. Just, get a space here and, we can help you with some of the things that you may need to figure out. I'm going to put the events link back in here one more time. Yes, here we go. And that's where you can go. As I said, we have a March tour coming up, April. I know there are some in the summer. We also have Sabbatical. Last year's Sabbatical was popping. This year, I think people are like, I want to move. So we still have that for anyone who's interested in maybe just taking a break in general. We do, I think it's 2, 4, maybe 6 or 8 weeks. It just depends. You can definitely check it out. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Benita. Yes, Benita was here for our February relocation, and so was Angel and Donna, and it was really lovely. It was very lovely. So I'm looking forward to our new folks that are coming, Lisa, and in March, and a few, I think some others in April. I can't remember off the top. But anyway, we're here. If you need help with anything, check out the information and feel free to reach out. If you have questions, I'm going to go now and get on my computer and do some more work, because that's what we do. That's what we entrepreneurs do. We stay up until, well, I do. I stay up until I fall asleep. Have a great night. Don't forget to hit the like button, please. Subscribe to my channel if you have been here multiple times. Support what it is that I'm doing here. I appreciate you so much. And definitely come down, visit us in San Miguel. It is an amazing city, an amazing place. Our community is beautiful and continuing to grow. The foreign community is growing. There's a lot going on here. There's some things that are going on that don't normally go on. Like there's some issues, with the city, some unrest and things like that. And I'm just hoping that, the city gets it together overall. I'm not worried about it per se, but because I left the US where there's a lot of issues. However, I just want to be transparent that, things happen here too. And I don't want people to think, oh, you're just walking into a big bubble of nothingness. There are lots of things that are kind of coming up. And sometimes when they're changing administration, just like in the US, there's unrest at times. So just saying. So, and on that note, buenas noches, mi gentes, and I will talk to you guys next week. On next Wednesday, 6 o'clock is my other live, and you'll see what the topic is. Stay tuned. If you haven't subscribed, please make sure you do so. Have a good night.